My name is Sal Salas, and for my survey project, I performed an ALTA ACSM survey on a local commercial property, specifically the contract builder supply off of navigation. Now, for those unfamiliar of what an ALTA survey is, or even what ALTA or ACSM stand for, ACSM is the American Congress on Surveying and Mapping, and ALTA is the American Land Title Association. So how are these related, and how are they related to surveying? Well, ALTA, or title insurance companies in general, have specific needs unique to title insurance matters, and they're required to insure title of land without any exceptions. Now, this can cause issues that could be unforeseen through just a normal title search of the public records, and so they require an on-the-ground survey to kind of remove any of those survey-related exceptions from the title insurance policy. And ACSM created a set of national standards, and the latest set is the 2011 Minimum Standard Detail Requirements for ALTA ACSM land title surveys. Basically, ALTA adopted the ACSM standards, and together they created the ALTA ACSM land title survey, which are now used in all commercial retail transactions. So how does an ALTA survey differ from a boundary survey? Well, boundary surveys generally show property lines, easements, and any other details or requirements that are designated by the state where the property resides. And an ALTA survey, on the other hand, is a much more detailed survey. It has to, of course, adhere to the set of national standards that have been put forth by ACSM, and many of those requirements are what make this a much more detailed survey. They need to show the easements that not only benefit but encumber the property, any possible encroachments across the boundary. They need to define and show a distance to the closest right-of-way public access to the public road, zoning setbacks, flood zones, evidence of any use by third parties. If there's waters or cemeteries on that property, they need to show those boundaries. They need to show the names of the owners of any adjoining properties, and many more requirements. The ACSM 2011 minimum requirement document actually has a table A full of options that the title insurance company can choose from to add to these already long list of survey requirements to kind of tailor their survey to the needs of that specific transaction. So in terms of an ALTA survey, we'll kind of just go over the general workflow process. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a client request, either an email or phone call, but more than likely that's going to be followed up with a signed title commitment. And the title commitment is what's going to have kind of all the policy information, but more importantly, it's going to have the research that the title company performed on the subject tract of land that's being purchased. We'll go over more of the title commitment soon, but the next step would obviously be the surveyor would perform research, but like I said, usually an ALTA survey that's provided by the title company. So once you have all your deeds and your research, you can start drawing them up and start creating working sketches. Now this is where you want to spend a lot of your time and make sure you're getting intimate and familiar with the tracts of lands and its adjoining properties, and kind of figuring out misclosures, errors in descriptions. This is where you're going to see if there's any missing pieces of the puzzle, and the more time that you can spend here in trying to get things figured out, the less headaches you're going to have down the line. And then of course next you'll perform some field work, and this will be locating boundary corners, existing structures, improvements, easements, all those requirements that were listed for the ALTA survey. And then of course once you get all that field data, you can start doing the boundary resolution. This is another part of the process that is very time consuming sometimes and requires you to loop back and possibly do more research, which would lead to more working sketches and more field work. But once you've done enough due diligence and you have enough evidence to support the boundary resolution, the RPLS can sign and seal the reviewed survey and meets and bounds descriptions and send off the final survey product. Let's talk about the client request and that title commitment. The title commitment is going to be a long document. It's going to have a Schedule A, a Schedule B, a Schedule C. Schedule A will have the title policy, legal jargon, but more importantly, it'll describe the property, the properties that are being purchased. So here you have Tract 1, and it has a small legal description, but for our purpose, ours is Tract 4, and it has it described as Lots 2L, Lots 3L of the Savage Lane Addition. You can see it gives you a volume and page of the map records in Oasis County, Texas. So this is what will be provided, that document, by the title company along with this commitment. So we'll come to the end of Schedule A and we'll get to Schedule B. This is where the fun part begins. The exceptions from coverage. This is where the title commitment will list all the things that it is going to say it is not going to cover in this title policy. And when you get to Tract 4, you'll see any visible and apparent unrecorded easements. So they're just kind of covering their own back by saying, look, we did our due diligence, we did a title search, we did our research. If anything is there that is not recorded, we didn't find it, we're not liable. And then we have page after page of easements, pipeline easements, right-of-ways, utility easements. Here the first two, 10-foot utility easements. We have right-of-ways, easements, another page full of right-of-ways. Most of these are pipelines. And finally a third page. You have a couple of things like a billboard lease and a cathodic protection, and I believe there's even a facility in there that houses some pipeline risers. But all of these are also going to be provided, the deed documents that need to be drawn up. So you still want to be thorough in your deed research. An ALTA survey, usually they're only going to provide the most recent documents, but you always want to try to research back as far as you can. So on the left here we have the document that was provided. You see lots 1L, 2L, and 3L, the Savage Lane Addition, and it looks like a current survey. Everything's legible. You see some utility easements. You even see some of the easements already marked out. But you want to research and try to get back to the original or the parent tract. In this case, in this subdivision, the original Lot L. And the main reason is to see what was called for at those corners. The one on the right, everything was set with iron pipes originally. And a lot of the newer descriptions are calling for iron rods and things that have been set by other surveyors. So you definitely want to go look for the original corners that have been set. And we're getting close to the 10-minute mark, and as far as YouTube, they have that 10-minute limit, so we may be ending it right after this slide. I use Carlson survey software to enter my deeds. It's basically the AutoCAD environment, but it has a lot of survey tools. Now it's easy to take a deed description, and Carlson allows you to create points for all the corners and give it a description. So you can see in the bottom right here we have a center line of road, then we have an iron pipe for the west right of way where it starts a 5-foot dedication, and then we get to the western corners, and then we have iron pipe in the southeast corner of the Wheeling tract. So this is Lot L of the Savage Lane Addition. And we'll just take a quick break, and I'll be right back in the next recording.